In preparation of the festivities today, the management of Louisiana Strong gave me a list of Irish quotes and sayings and so on that I was to perhaps use. No. But instead I went to my own refrigerator, and Cynthia has a little magnet. I was looking for it. I put it in my pocket, but here it is. And rather than use one of the expressions that they gave me, I found a magnet on the refrigerator that said, "Pray for me, I'm married to an Irishman." And I think that's me. There it is. Let's see, we're going to have Tad next? Yeah. Tad from Louisiana Strong is going to talk to us.
Good afternoon. My name is Todd Godin. I'm on the board for Louisiana Strong, and thank you all for coming out. That's a tough group to follow. Please don't judge me. I was asked to basically give a little bit of a history of Louisiana Strong and why we exist. And before I do that, I want to thank the Graves family for hosting this event. Thank you. Such a lovely, lovely place to meet. Thank you. I'm a newcomer to Louisiana Strong, but Louisiana Strong was founded about 2 years ago on two factors that motivated. One was the cat tax and the problems that created. And the second one was something that people in the Christian churches noticed, that there was this element of socialism that was starting to creep in. And there wasn't much of an organized local group to do something about those two pressures. Recently I met somebody who told me that his wife had written a book about this professor who lived in Brazil. His first name was Plinio. Let me just read you a segment from this person's book and tell me if you think it sounds familiar. Plinio detected machinations of a liberal tide that penetrated cultural undermining faith and morals. The pursuit of money and unbridled pleasure was the word of the day. This liberal tide influenced all of society, changing its customs, rules of interaction, music, dress code, architecture, and therefore people's mentality. Like a pernicious gas, it was a slow, gentle, but powerful process. Because it was slow, it did not alarm, and because it was gentle, it did not awake. This was written about Professor Plinio in Brazil in 1929. Seems to me that some of these same pressures come up all the time, and so we have these pressures that we're fighting today. Louisiana stands strong to try to push back those pressures of socialism and anti-morality. Some of the things that we were right about, and some of the things that we're tracking. Louisiana Strong announced that Together Baton Rouge is the new Acorn in Baton Rouge area. Hosted training in the Saul Alinsky methodology. Furnished information to members regarding socialism in our churches. It monitors organizations supporting socialism in our community. Some of the things we were right about. We asked the governor to veto the autonomous board for cats, and he did. He prevented a convicted felon from being appointed to the cats board. He opposes Medicaid expansion on a basis we cannot afford. He supports the rights, or Louisiana Strong supports the rights of citizens to vote on their destiny, whether for an independent school district or a city. It supports legislation to stop human trafficking and many other things. Two of the most important things is that we supported Garrett Graves for Congress District 6. And we supported Bill Cassidy for Senator from Louisiana. Our members made phone calls, knocked on doors, placed campaign signs, and a multitude of other activities on these campaigns. I could go on, and I realize I'm preaching to the choir, but the point is that in every age we need patriots. And I'm proud to serve with other patriots. I appreciate you coming, appreciate you praying for Louisiana Strong and for Louisiana, for Congressman Graves and Congressman Senator Vitter. We need their help. We appreciate their support. Don't stop. The opposing sides aren't going to stop. So God bless all of you, and thank you for coming out.
Hey, I'm Garrett Graves. I want to thank y'all very much for coming tonight. I want to thank Louisiana Strong for putting on a great event. When I grew up right here on this property, we used to live right there. And after we ate a lot of grilled cheese and spam, and after I moved out, my parents apparently found and Father Cleo, I don't know where you went. Father Cleo actually called me this morning. He was asking me ideas on how to kind of demonstrate the Irish. And, we talked about a few different things. He chose the clover, but I was pushing him. I said, I usually drink Irish whiskey. And I guess he didn't do that. He had mass. There you go. No, but seriously, so Glenda and Louisiana Strong asked me to talk about the time that I've been up in Washington, which has roughly been about 60 days. And I think I need to actually pull a line from Star Trek to give you an update. There's no intelligent life up there. You know, I got to tell you, I mean it. I do. It really has been incredible. And look, I worked up there, and I had the chance to work for the delegation and push things, and watching from afar the increased dysfunction and volatility that has taken place over the last several years has really been amazing. And I went up there, very, very clear vision and mission based on the campaign trail, based on the discussions with you. Folks wanted to balance the budget. They want to repeal Obamacare. They want the dang bridge fixed. And all the problems, on and on and on, the things that we heard people talk about, repealing amnesty. So we went up there with a clear vision to go up there and go begin working on the offensive, stopping these things, pulling these things back. And it has been incredible, because let me tell you about the first few months up there. Number one, we have the president signs an executive order on January 31st that basically says that no federal funds can be invested in any project that doesn't meet a 500-year flood standard. Okay? 500-year flood standard. Do you know where you're all sitting? You're sitting in a 500-year flood standard. That means they won't invest in roads and bridges. Does that mean they're not going to back VA and FHA mortgages? Is that going to mean that the new standard for levies and flood insurance? So look, that may work just fine in Wyoming. It may. But it doesn't work here. And so here we are fighting some of these ridiculous proposals that are put forth. They've come up with a new ozone standard that they're trying to push out. A new ozone standard for clean air that Yellowstone National Park doesn't comply with. It's too dirty. Yet they want to have the area that has the nation's second largest petrochemical industry in the nation comply with it. Louisiana has $100 billion in economic development projects on our horizon. And we have that on our horizon for a few reasons. Number one is that we have inexpensive, stable, readily available supply of natural gas, which is a great asset for us to have. And we have one of the best maritime transportation systems in the United States, the Mississippi River system and the waterways, Calcasieu and others, that allows people to inexpensively transport things in and out of Louisiana. They're two huge assets for us. And so we're able to have $100 billion in economic development projects. We're able to have a manufacturing renaissance taking place in our state. Not in Mexico, not in China, not in Brazil, not in India. These companies are coming here, and they don't have to be here. They could be in those other nations. But they're here. And here we have this administration that is taking a direct shot at us. I can't verify this, but I'll tell you, I've been told by some folks that are very bright on this subject that have said that we could park all the cars, we could shut off all the smokestacks, and we're still not going to come in compliance with these proposals. So that's what we're dealing with. We have the president's budget that came out just over a month ago. Over a 20-year period, over a 10-year period, $2 trillion, and I'm going to say that again, I don't think I've ever said that number before, trillion with a T, $2 trillion in increased taxes and fees. Yet the budget is out of balance by $500 billion in 2016. How do you do that? How do you do that? It's unbelievable, and I'll say it again. There's no intelligent life. And the disconnect between Washington, D.C. and what's on the ground couldn't be greater. And I'm not standing here trying to be a partisan, but I think that this administration isn't just irresponsible. I think it's actually dangerous for Louisiana, for South Louisiana, for our economy, and for our future, for our way of life. But look, we are fighting this, and we're fighting it as a delegation. All of us, the Republicans, and even Congressman Cedric Richmond, the Democrat, he gets it that many of these proposals are just wrong. And so we have all been working together. We've been meeting on a regular basis, challenging these proposals, these regulations, these executive orders that are being put forth. We got put on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. We're really excited about that. It was one of our big pushes. And I want to thank the delegation who helped us get these committee positions, because we were still in a runoff whenever the rest of the new members of Congress were getting their committee assignments. So our delegation stepped up and served as surrogates to advocate for us, and they did a great job. That committee has jurisdiction over things like highways and roadways, something which in the capital region is just extraordinary. We're 40 years behind where we should be with infrastructure planning. They just kicked off a study for I-10. Really? Maybe they'll find that there's a problem. So we've got a lot of work to do, in the infrastructure world. But it also has jurisdiction over things like levees, the Mississippi River system, coastal restoration, pipelines, airports, rails, and many things that are really important to Louisiana's economy. And so we're excited to be there. We also were put on the Natural Resources Committee. And Louisiana's blessed with our abundant natural resources, whether it's the incredible fisheries, the coastal lands, the energy, and that committee has jurisdiction over all those things. So we're really excited. We think of two good committee positions to be on for the state, for South Louisiana. And I'm going to quickly just say that the committees, I know people talk about it a lot, but in the House of Representatives, it's really important because most of the work gets done in the committees. That's where you have 435 members of Congress. By the time a bill gets to the House floor, if they let everybody offer amendments, you'd be there for months trying to consider one bill. And so the committees is where things often get done. And so those committee assignments is key to our state. We've already passed bills having to do with improving the quality of science to make sure that you don't have junk science, EPA and others pushing out regulations that aren't based upon anything. We've passed passed bills that require the federal government to do economic analysis and higher thresholds for regulations whenever they have higher compliance costs. When you get into costs that are going to drive up our cost as citizens to comply. I believe a study was done by CEI that says that right now it's $15,000 per household just to comply with federal regulations. And under this administration, and on their way out the door, I guarantee you that number is going to go flying up. And so we're going to try and continue making progress on those and other bills to challenge this administration's ability to continue to threaten Louisiana's future. So I'll say that the 2 months that we've been there have been great. They really have. I've enjoyed it and enjoyed the hard work, but it's been frustrating, and I'm not gonna whitewash that. It's been frustrating dealing with all of these people that have no understanding of the implications of their proposals on the ground right here in Louisiana, or on the ground, I think, probably in most places in America. But in closing, I just want to say thanks to Louisiana Strong. Y'all were great. Appreciate the network. Appreciate all of you here and helping us get elected. Jumping in this race with 14 people in it, jumping into this race, as we often said during the campaign, at 2% when we first got in. You know, I got to tell you, even I was questioning my sanity a few times. But after going around and just going around in all these parishes and meeting people and talking to folks and sharing ideas and hearing your ideas, we slowly moved up. And I want to thank all of you for